Teddy, just to break the ice now on what you guys are working on, the current project. If you can just let the viewers know the current project you're working on regarding fitness industry.
Okay, I let my colleague expound more on that, but on my part, I'm a researcher, and we've seen a gap in the fitness industry. It's a developing field in terms if you look at current urban planning, you see residential facilities have implemented, they have put in place fitness facilities like gyms and everything, and various professionals are emerging, physiotherapists and all manner of things, but we've identified a key. My colleague will elaborate. There is a gap in training. And in training, most people are trained by their friends, by their colleagues and everything. So the gap in training has repercussions, especially legal repercussions, in terms where negligence occurs. When people are going to the gym, they get injuries, and the next remedy is suing the gym or suing the instructor. And so, whereas that gap exists, we are trying to look on how to bring in policy that will guide all these relationships, and also accountability in terms of you're not just running a gym to earn income, but also you are caring about the health of. There have been issues of spinal damages and everything. Mm-hmm. So we are just looking on how to make a more structured system in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Viewers, before Nyota gets to tell us more on that, this is very, very important to the fitness coaches, gyms, and all around clubs that have trainers and fitness trainers, strength and conditioning trainers. So you need to get plugged into this and get to understand the integral importance of bringing this up. And if you can take it away.
Thank you, Jermaine. The fitness industry, just like any other industry, it's an industry that has different stakeholders, if you're coming to think about it. And actually how we bumped into this industry, which almost now took us all swings into the sports industry. Actually, this was one of the things that really forced us now to go and looking into how is this sports industry organized legally. One of the senior partner at where he works had a friend who has a friend with a gym somewhere in Nairobi. And so one day he said, Nyota, come and let's go listen to one of my friends who is trying to figure out how he's going to bring this idea to the market, and how he has a passion for the gym guys, the trainers, but he is not really sure how to do it, to go about it. So we went to listen. And so that started the whole this journey of looking into the fitness industry and the sports industry. Yeah. Why it took us to the sports industry is because the founder of AREPS, who is the friend that we were to meet, has been part of the boxing industry, those leagues, the boxing leagues. And so he has been part and parcel of the sports industry spanning around 20 years. And so the first call for him, you know, that maybe this will fall under the sports sector. And so if you're looking at how the sports sector is regulated, there are several sectors. There is the government which comes in, and then there is the federations which come in. Globally, the sports industry, and if you look whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whichever is it, whether it's athletes, it's an independently run field. Yeah. And it's run, we have international organizations, which is an international federation. Now this international federation is now composed, the membership of it is the national federations of the different countries. So if you're coming to Kenya, globally you have FIFA, and then in Kenya you have the FKF. Yeah. So the Football Kenya Federation is the national body, and so every country we have this body. And so even when our legal system came into putting the Sports Act 2013, it reflects this founding and this regulatory framework, so that it requires that we will only register one federation countrywide or one union. And now this country is the one which will be the agent of the FIFA, of the international body. And so, and then now this federation is the one which is to set rules, is the one to regulate the sector, is the one to decide how clubs are going to be running. So there's so much, that is basically how. So you have the international organization, federation, then you have the national federation, and then we have the clubs plugging in. The government comes in to register these federations and clubs. So you'll be needed to get a license from the registrar of sports. So we've created somebody called a registrar of sports who comes in to now register and license the clubs and the federation. So if there's a federation in football, it will only be one in the country. So we can't have multiple federations. And so when you look at that arrangement, if you have maybe somebody, for example, and why we went now, and when we're trying to advise the fitness industry, we realized that the moment you put just one person as a federation, then if you have an idea that per se does not fit directly to that federation setup, you can't really go through that system. So when we went to the fitness industry, we realized that one, this industry, these guys don't, it's not a sport per se. It's a profession. Because as sports, you're looking at having clubs, having competition, having leagues. The fitness industry, these are gym owners, these are professionals who are guiding people. It's more of a science than even a sport. So the founder of AREPS, really, for him, he thought that is where we had to go, and maybe we want to look at getting a license from the sports. But then we realized maybe whatever you're trying to push is not really a sport, and so we might not be able to go through that regime. You have no league, you have nothing, because that is how it's organized. And so now the work of lawyers is to help us structure yourself in a legal way and help you see which regime works for you. And so for us, we had to move outside the sports regime and set up an institution that can meet the requirements of this industry as a profession. And so we had to borrow heavily from what you're thinking about, the lawyer's profession, the doctor's profession, and how that setup comes in, because as we don't have competitions just like basketball and football, and so we actually had to disorganize the founders by telling that where you're going, that will give you, it's a very limited area for you because of maybe what the vision you're having for this industry. And so so what we are doing, we there's an organization which he was already creating called AREPS, the African Register of Exercise Professionals. So the main work is to be a register of these people. It is to bring a platform where I can go and actually find all the professionals in the area. But coming in, we now found other issues. Most of, as Teddy was alluding to, most of the trainers have learned through apprenticeship. So that I go to a gym and I'm going to wanainua hivi. Within a week I'm a trainer, I'm a fitness trainer.
And we saw lots of trainers crop up during Corona.
Actually, everyone was just becoming a fitness trainer. In your flat, you have a fitness trainer downstairs. And I used to tell, really when you're working on data, as we keep that, one of my greatest stories of going to a gym is I go and then kesho yake mkono moja inaonga kuliko ingine, because this guy has no science behind it, because these are veins. And so there's a lot of science going behind just the science of muscle and weight and all this, just around how the body of a human being works. And so we thought we need a better legal structure than just forming a federation. A federation will be too limiting for that sector. And so how we come in for us to advise is, we have to look at your sector, we have to look at the goal of what you're trying to achieve. Because I tell people at times you might be thinking this is the route, but per se you are limiting yourself. You have to think in the broader sense. So now this body comes in, the AREPS will come in to build capacity. So right now AREPS is partnering with the European side. We have a European reps. Actually, even the fitness industry is run by independent organizations globally. So in Europe, we have the European reps, European Register of Exercise Professionals. We have Australian reps, Australian Register of... So every side, and then we have a confederation of now these federations or organizations called ISREPS, the international side. So it brings all these countries and all these federations. So what we are doing with the fitness industry is, number one, we are the AREPS, we are building it into a capacity that it's able to train. So it organizes workshops. We get trainers, global trainers across the world who come and train both virtually. At times they come in person. And so they'll be able to train trainers. So you're thinking about a whole mobilization of anyone who is a trainer, because most of them don't have skills. So we realize we can't tackle this issue by just forming a body. No, we have to give these people training so that we are able to now say, the moment we are moving them to the contractual stage, when now they're starting to contract and getting deals with all these people, we have 100 or 1,000 people who we know they are trained, they understand what they are doing. So we are not going to take you out there and then you start causing trouble to the clients. So apart from that, then we thought we need to form a society, which is a welfare sort of, because this body is looking at the capacity really on the skill set of these people and connecting them to the global community. Because what AREPS does, we have entered with MOUs with all these global bodies. As a fitness trainer today in Kenya, if you're part of AREPS and you go to Europe, you can get work there. We will just do a seconding. So we have gotten into an MOU with them, so they recognize our trainers, because we are looking at how do we help these people beyond Kenya. If you go to study somewhere, can you get a job? Must you be fixed that I have to be in Kenya forever to make money? So we are doing deliberate things with AREPS. So that's why we had to set that organization as such and not as a federation, so that we can broaden what we are able to do with them. So our trainers can go anywhere in the world. They can get any certification they want. So there's quite a lot of things that we are doing in that area. So now then we formed the society, which is the Fitness and Exercise Professional Society of Kenya, the FEPSA. Now this will it's the local body in Kenya, because AREPS is really an African dream. So we are in Kenya, we know this, we will go to all these other countries. We have Nigerians in the team, we have Ugandans in the team. So when we come to the local level, then there are welfare issues to be handled. Then can we have a society that handles your welfare issues? One of your trainers has a trouble somewhere, who helps them? Someone needs legal representation where Teddy comes in, your trainer amefanyika nini. You need a lawyer at the background to be on call, because this is your team. So for us, we are mobilizing the team and saying, can we build the capacity of these people in a way that it's very wholesome, so that hands industry leo and then kesho yake ajue where to go and what to do. So we are looking at all the parts and the different aspects of what do you need to become a professional. And then we are plugging in all this. So the FEPSA will be able to handle the welfare issues, ensure they are covered legally, we ensure that if we need a lot of mobilization down in the ground when we are having events, we have FEPSA doing that. We have AREPS on the other side pushing for policy changes in the countries and helping governments, because I understand government at times. This is a new field, so they are also even trying to figure out what is it to do. So when AREPS comes in, AREPS comes with that expertise. It comes with all the global players. We have MOUs with every continent bodies globally. So if we need any expertise to know how they are running theirs, we have it. So we are when we go to government, we don't go to fight them, because we are telling them, anyway, we also understand you people. So for us is we want to be that solution and helping them. How can we arrange this industry in a manner that benefits these people? Because you see, the moment we start certifying these people and say that you're certified, and you can go with AREPS and say that I'm a fitness trainer spanning 10 years. There's a track record. So that online register helps this guy keep a good track record. So the trouble with the football and all this, these clubs, they don't have contracts, they don't have nothing. So if you go to somebody, I'm a player, how do they know? So for us, we have thought of this process with a long-term mindset, that in 10 years, if somebody wants to come and say, I've been a fitness trainer for 10 years, who knows? We have a record. You can go search at AREPS and you can see that whole track record. We will be helping them to track everything that they are doing, so that it's like your CV. AREPS is like that CV. We are trying to help them build from ground up. We train you, we help you build, and all those things. So basically, that is the main program that we are really working on. We actually actively started working on it last year. It has just been around a year or less than a year, but at least we can be able to push that and look 10 years from now what will be happening in that industry. And I think it will be a major one, because, for example, we found another issue is most of these trainers, one, they don't own gyms, so they don't. If you wanted to go and get a loan, as a lawyer, it will be very easy. If he has a law firm, it's an entity. The bank will give him money to do whatever he wants to do. A fitness trainer who is just called, kuja, niko na watu hapa train for 10 minutes, nikupe 1,000 or 1,500. What are we doing to them? So we are also helping those who want to form structures, register businesses. Why? Because we believe if now they register a business, they start offering consultancy. Because right now we have something called the personal trainers. I could call somebody at my home to come. So if you have an entity, we could fund. If you have you go to a bank, they will be able to fund an entity, because banks want formal institutions. These sports industries are very informal, and no bank will be risking themselves. So the moment we help you create a track record online that anybody can follow what you've been doing, your successes, your client base and all this, then we help you structure that into an organization, a business, whether it's a company or just a business name. You have a brand. Now, it's very easy to start accessing capital. The moment we talk about accessing capital, now you're starting to liberate these people financially. So other things will, in the near future, I see a very vibrant fitness industry. And hopefully when we start working with all these other sports industries, we could help them get interesting ways to look ahead and not just think beyond just one league, just two leagues, and just the whole federation politics.
Wow. I mean, that's deep wealthy stuff in terms of foresight for the entire fitness industry, and I'm sure this will lead to other things opening up slowly by slowly. And viewers, it's only found here at Wima Sports, where we get to discuss and chime these things and look for ways in which we can actually bring all the stakeholders together towards sports development. And maybe do nutritionists also fall under trainers?
Totally. Yeah, but actually we have several who are just doing nutrition consultancy. We have some, so that you find someone, yes, maybe I have a skill set, because there are several skill sets in fitness trainers. They're just the yoga guys, they're the boxing guys, or we have
physios.
Yes, we have them. And so we are looking at that industry with a very open mind. We are not closing ourselves to just limit to a few, and we are looking at who are the many. So we have someone who is a Nigerian, but he's in the country, but he is running he's a nutritious consultant. So we're also helping him package that into a brand so that he can start moving around.
Awesome. So what are some of the pros and cons of this in terms of trainers' perspective, client's perspective? Maybe the client's trainer's perspective, you've already tackled a few, as well as client's perspective. You're free from not being hurt. Alafu mtu ahepe amekimbia. And then athletes perspective as well. We have professional athletes coming up, and you don't have to just rely on YouTube to go and see how to handle an injury or something. You actually have someone who's certified and who has a track record, and I'm really loving this. And maybe just also if you can shed light on how clubs and societies, how they get also to align themselves, because I see clubs will be also getting they can be recruiting people from the I don't know how to call it, AREPS. Yeah, so is it something you're looking to in the future, if you can just tackle some of these different perspectives?
Yes, it's actually one of the things that we are looking, and why we are building this capacity. So we have tackled it because we realize it's a capacity issue, a historical, regulatory and a capacity issue, that these people don't have enough capacity, so that when as an organization, as AREPS, as we are moving to build the industry, we need people who have capacity. So as we are giving them this capacity, our broader mind is to ensure that, for example, if you're thinking about the sports industry, if it's football clubs and all these people, they need fitness trainers, people who understand muscles and all these issues. Because in the whole, if you look at how clubs are managed generally, there's not, maybe we may not have so many expertise. If you just look at all around the stars and how every now and then the coach is out, who is out, there's just too many things happening, and you're trying to have an insight and think that, can we organize these people in an interesting way, or in a way that is more sustainable? And so we are looking at actually impacting not just the fitness industry. We want to make this industry, just like lawyers, we have corporate lawyers, we have litigation, we'll have all these experts going toward these fields. So if you have athletes, will be fronting people to go and help them do that one and consult on just those athletes. Because at least for Kenya, I think in the athletic industry, we are, at least it's one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
And if you look at even how they are managed, you see them with experts who are helping them do several things. You see, so I think it's one of the places where at least we can see some interesting model. And so we are looking at fronting these people to even clubs. Let them have someone whose work is mainly just to look at the fitness of these footballers and all these, whatever kind of sport it is. So it's one of the things we are looking at. We are looking at even when we have these developments which are coming up, if somebody is putting up an estate, do we have somebody who can be, because see, AREPS vision is simple, towards a healthy Africa.
Yeah. And
how we do that is by bringing professionals in the health sector, in the trade, in the fitness industry, to be of impact to the society. So if you, for example, have a gym and you have an estate and you have a gym, you have those experts there. How are they helping that whole gym community? Because if you look at how now we are structuring our communities, we are getting these close communities where we have several, maybe it's an estate somewhere, but are these people fit? And who helps them do that? Do they have somebody they can call, or somebody who is their call? Can they give them this personalized fitting? Do they have maybe facilities there which need to be managed? Because remember, there's just the expertise of knowing maybe how to deal with different muscles, but there is also the expertise of handling equipment. Yeah, the gym. So we are going to, all these things are going to now be a build up to what we are laying a foundation. Structuring is really about laying foundations. So that when we are looking about structuring the whole sports industry, is what foundation gives that industry a good ground to expand and not just be limited. Yeah. So for us from the fitness side, we are looking at impacting and making this, we are just building it step by step, and we understand every step, and we can see how it doesn't limit our future growth and our future impact.
Yeah. Yeah. So Teddy, maybe if you could shed some light. Do you think, I want to ask you a question on FKF. Do you think this ban can be lifted?
I think so. I think it can be lifted. It's just a matter of not sidelining one party. It's a sort of mutual engagement, mutual relationship. Whereas you can see the advantage of involving government is the capacity to investigate, to look into these allegations of corruptions. Corruptions is beyond the scope of management in terms of how the expectations of FIFA on football management in Kenya. And if you could see from the correspondence between government and FIFA, it was more of we can cooperate only to this extent. We want to let the legal process take its course, but let it not be an excuse for interference, but mutual assistance. Government has capacity to investigate, prosecute, and basically become an oversight in terms of seeing that the sports industry is protected for the public benefit. It's not a matter of chest thumping. So I think ultimately there can be a solution where parties sit down and agree on how to work out those issues that have arisen over this many years.
Yeah. So being a mediator and a arbitrator, I'm seeing it's like it's been of great significance of having people of such or having such competencies is of significance in the sports industry, because if I look at Amina Mohammed, the match she's done, her ability or her experience in diplomacy and just being a diplomat, I think she has a skill on mediation and just being able to negotiate terms and all these things. Under her tenure, we've seen Safari Rally, we've seen the one at Kasarani was World Youth, some championship. And we've seen other couple of global events just right after the pandemic. Do you think this is something that in the near future we need to add that on the job description? Some of this.
Yes, definitely. If you look at it in the perspective that the sports industry is a relationship-based industry, whereas you have different stakeholders bringing in different opportunities and playing different roles in the field. So there is need for that mutuality of purpose, and how do you bring all these people together? You structure these interactions, these relationships in a more formal way, that you are not idealistic. You are thinking that these people are going to work in a smooth and seamless manner. You have also those internal mechanisms that in any event of a dispute or disagreement on certain issues, in terms, because some of these roles, there are overlaps and there might be areas of conflict, and conflict is, you don't, as I've put it, you are not idealistic. You don't fail to anticipate that there might be a dispute which may make the industry collapse, but you have that structure in place that in case of a dispute, there are internal mechanisms before the matter escalates. For like football, the matter has escalated to FIFA, there has been a ban. Why it would go on that direction? You can have internal mechanisms for dispute resolution. It does not need to even go to the normal court procedures, which is a yes.
Awesome. So Nyota, what would a proper functioning club or team look like in terms of structure? Maybe just briefly.
So number one, when you're thinking about structure, is one, you have to understand the different stakeholders who are coming in, because any organization is as good as the structures and the people around it. You need to first understand who are the different people who we are going to structure, because as Teddy put it, is that we are structuring these relationships. If you're thinking about a company, there is a company, there's an employer, there's an employee. It's a relationship we are structuring into an entity called a company. And so when we are thinking about these clubs, we have the promoters of this club, we have the vision bearers of this club, and then we have the players. Beyond the players, we have even the spectators and the fans who are outside there. Beyond that, we have the government, which is regulating the sector. Beyond that, we have the federation, which is the independent regulator, both locally and internationally. So when you're looking at this club, number one, I look at structuring it in a way that the leadership understands the framework of how the sports industry is governed. And I know there are these competing interests where some people say government should not get in, government should get in. What I think is a more better way of structuring this is everybody has a role to play.
Yeah.
You see, globally, you look at those developed countries, clubs like football clubs on the stadiums. In Kenya, it's the government who owns. So you can't say government move out.
Yeah.
They own that, the Jayo and the rest of the stadium. So how do you tell them to move out? Why? But you see, globally, you look at the developed nations, the clubs have a lot of money, so they will be owning the building, which is the stadium. So at that point, if they tell the government these are all private things, at least we can understand. But now, if you look at a developing country, every stakeholder is important. You're thinking about the development goals of a country. There are countries will look at sports as an integral part of development. So you can't really say government move out, where are you going? I think it's better for us to understand what is the role of each individual. Where does government come in? What are the excesses of this government? So that at least government cannot go to the excesses. So that if you're looking at the football side and what it was alluding, that it doesn't have to get to the government getting a caretaker committee to come and handle FKF issues. Internally, and maybe this has been the biggest problem, there's zero transparency in how these things are run. If you ask even the players, they might not even have an idea how the league runs. They just know we have a game this day and this day.
Yeah.
If you ask them what is in it for them, what are they gaining from the club point of view, they might really not understand. So there's, I don't know if it's secrecy or what it is, there's just so much lack of transparency in this running of the industry. So the way even the organs have been structured, it's not in a very open way. The involvement of these sportsmen, it's abated, and you don't even understand what is your role, what do you have to benefit. And I think one of the things that we've been doing in the fitness industries, we have been carrying along all these professionals. They understand what is the role of AREPS. They understand where they come from. They know how they can get treated. They understand their benefits, what is happening in this industry, what is your work, so that I can't do something I didn't tell them we are supposed to do. And so we feel, first of all, a club should be able to communicate that. And the promoter of that club or the vision bearer, the person who comes in, he should need to communicate this thing to their people. Then they need to get legal structures. Don't just form a business name or just a name, a brand name out there, you register it as a sports club, and that's it. What we call the briefcase sports club.
Yeah.
So that we're just waiting for an event. We know you're coming to play somewhere.
Yeah.
You come.
You come.
So you're looking at, I think as a country we have a very long way to go, because players, we first of all not recognize sports as a profession, as an industry, a formal industry, which as a child when I was growing up and playing those things, I could have thought that I wanted to become a footballer, So that even the way we've said these clubs, they're just briefcase clubs where somebody just owns it. He has the name, he has registered, full stop. He's the one who calls the shot, he decides who comes when. We have not structured this in a manner that I can see an organization and aspire as a sports person to go and be part of that organization.
Yeah.
So that because a club will be looking at the welfare of the sportsmen. One, do these people even have contracts? Some don't even understand that they need a contract. So when something happens, now they are crying, oh, I was shortchanged here. You didn't even have a contract to protect yourself. If you're looking at insurance issues and personal injury, and you maybe talk about it later, these people have zero protection. So if you get injured, well, you have to go back to your pocket. And it's a structure issue that there's no organization that is looking at the welfare of the different stakeholders and that how is managed. You see in a company, and maybe the wealth of what I've gained in the corporate side, the company is very well regulated. You have what the government requires you to do. The government tells you have to have this policy, we have to sit down and draft that policy. If you are told you have a sexual harassment policy in place and how you're going to protect your staff, it is there. And we have to have it, we have to have a budget for it, we have to protect the people and train them on all these things. In these clubs, nobody even knows what is required of them. So it's a whole big structural issue, and I think for me what we need is visionary leaders. Because all these things start from a leadership point, so that by the time even they're approaching us lawyers to help them structure whatever, at least they have, you see like the way in the fitness, when the founder of AREPS, when we sit with him, he can tell you what he's planning to achieve. So as lawyers, when we are sitting down now to come around and help him structure an organization that can help him push that idea and let it have that perpetuity so that it can run even beyond him, we need this fast leadership. Because I don't want to sit with you and you own a club and what you're telling me you just want to benefit from it. I mean, I need to be seeing a vision where you're looking and thinking about these players. How do we build a track record for them? And because one of the main reasons why these people are not even making money, you've not structured yourself. Globally, most people will want to deal with structured things. If I want to sponsor you, I will most likely want to sponsor somebody who is structured. I can see a clear demarcation of this is what players are getting, this is how you're protecting their welfare, this is the space of this is how you're managing, this is how you're relating with government. In the corporate side, because I'm in the banking side, that is how we even analyze some of these things and how we're going to fund you. If we arise, we can't really close check and say that if we give you money, we don't know where this money is going. We will not give you the money.
True.
Because for us, our interest is, can this money be repaid? So on this other side, if you just run a briefcase club, I don't know, do you have even an accountant? What are your activities? Do you have a budget for the year? I mean, what are you doing? Because we need to start taking the sportsmen seriously and help them build a career. If we think of the sports industry as a career, then maybe we might start thinking it very, very differently. You get? So I think a normal functioning club, these are the issues that I need them to be thinking about. And we start at leadership. If we sort it out there, then let's come in and see your vision. Because all these structures, whether it's government, whether it's the federation, everybody has their roles. And there's nothing that limits a club really from doing as much as they want to do. Getting brands to come and support them, getting all these income streams. You see, like internationally, you see clubs selling players. It's an income stream. I don't know in Kenya if anybody is selling any player. If I was telling you, see, like most, I actually over the past few days I've been going through just look at the various leagues and how they and you see most names of corporates. Actually, it's like our industry, the clubs are owned, most of them are owned by companies. So in the financial sector, you have KCB, you have Equity, you have all these Corp, you have Mumias in the other side. I mean, all these clubs, every company has their own. Have we had a policy thought that maybe we need all these clubs? Number one, basic issues, hygiene issues, ensure everybody gets a contract. Whatever you decide the terms, let everybody at least have a contract. Let everybody, their welfare be taken care of. So that if we now decide that we are going to monetize this industry, because the monetization if we are starting to sell players across, that's a very big form of monetization to a club. But how do I now go? You are not even being paid maybe any money. Some just do it out of maybe a member of an organization. I don't see it beyond that organization.
True.
But if I was to sell, so there are actually so many things that could come in.
You just spoke about monetization, and I was thinking of KCB volleyball team.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really star player. I won't mention her name.
Yeah.
She's still too young,
mm-hmm.
but she's, I think, one of the highest, if not the highest paid volleyball player in the country. And I can imagine how much KCB can make when she's transferring to a different club.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really important clause or legal framework or structure that needs to be put to place. And definitely some really insightful thoughts right there. And it's just keeping me thinking more and more as you speak. But there's one huge problem that we are facing, and maybe Teddy, if you can tackle this: corruption and mismanagement of funds within the major leagues or clubs, organizations, sports organization teams. How can this be tackled moving forward?
I think the bottom line is on structuring, and where there are proper structure, there is accountability.
Yes.
And then accountability also comes with other stakeholders looking at you. What are you doing? Is it not so that you don't blame everything on mismanagement and everything, because we have people who have personal agendas to enrich themselves, and they bring this the sportsman's interest into jeopardy. So it's a question as it's a relation. It's a cross relation issues. The government, if it's offering oversight and also ensuring that, for instance, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution takes over these issues when claims of corruption are being reported. The EACC also looks into these issues, so that any claim of corruption is not transferred to mean that government is interfering. It should be looked at objectively. There is a claim for corruption, and proper investigations that are done to bring out to solve this issue. Yes.
Yeah.